beautiful instruments. I mean, look at this. This is a gorgeous, gorgeous instrument. Oh, oh my God, Wrigley, for sake, really? What are you barking at, dude? There's not even anybody out there. Shush. Go lay down. Hey everyone, this is Chuck G, and today we're going to do a little review of a new fiddle I purchased from a company called IF Strings, or Infinite Strings rather. Infinite Strings is a company based in California. They make their fiddles overseas in one of the workshops in China, and then they finish them in the United States and set them up in the United States. That's the part that's kind of important, so we'll talk about that in a minute. Buying a Chinese violin can be a treacherous experience. You want to be very careful when you're doing that. Don't just pop up on eBay and buy any old thing that you see, because you're probably going to get a piece of junk. All right. On the other hand, though, you might be thinking to yourself, oh my gosh, how can these companies sell that beautiful looking, Stradivarius pattern violin, for $400 or whatever? Okay. And well, there's a lot of reasons why. Number one, it's made in China. Okay, labor is very cheap over there. They have a workshop. They produce these violins, lickety-split. Now, some workshops are better than others, though. So there are actually, you could get a very good fiddle from overseas. All right, you just have to do a little research. You have to do, you do your due diligence, basically, and see what's what. So I've bought two violins from a company called Yita Music, Y-I-T-A Music. They sell most of their stuff on eBay. And they make very nice stringed instruments. They're well crafted. The guys that run these workshops are master luthiers themselves, but then what they do is they oversee the construction of these violins, okay, and cellos and violas. I bought a violin and a viola from those folks, and they're both very nice. I like them very much. I use the viola regularly. The violin I used a lot, but then now I've sold it to a student of mine and bought this one instead. The one thing about buying an instrument from overseas, though, is the setup. And by setup, I mean the carving of the bridge, planing of the fingerboard, the strings, the tailpiece, all the things that go into how a violin plays. Okay, and a good setup will make a violin easy to play, which means the strings are not too far off of, up above the fingerboard, so you don't have to work so hard to push them down. Okay, the bridge is at a good angle, so you're not playing more than one string at a time. The grooves and the nut and the pegs are drilled correctly and don't stick out 6 yards off to the side of here. So those are things that you need to keep in mind. That goes all into the setup. Chinese violins generally are not set up very well, which means when you get it, you're going to be like, hey, I only spent $300 on this violin. I'm like the master shopper. This violin's awesome. Well, you still need to take it in and get some work done. You probably need to put new strings on it. All right, that's $50 to $100 right there for good strings. You're going to need to take it into a shop. I took my violin that I bought from Yita. I took that in and had the fingerboard. I thought the bridge was too high. It was actually the neck angle was incorrect on the violin, and they fixed that. And these are little things that a master luthier would probably not have on a violin made A to Z by the same master violin maker. Okay, but the violins that are made in these shops, okay, they're quickly turned over and they're sent, and you could play it when it gets here, but the strings are terrible and the setup needs work. So when I went to go ahead and buy the violin that I was going to buy, this time around I said, okay, I'm going to spend some money and try to get a nicer violin, because if you spend a little money on some of these violins from overseas, you might get something really nice. So you might not. Again, I mean, that's the thing about buying a violin from overseas, is you don't get to play it ahead of time. It shows up and you have what you have. Okay, so I've had good luck. I'm 2 for 2 so far, and I wanted to make it 3 for 3. So what I did was I did some shopping, and I decided, you know what? I might buy a master level violin from Yita or from one of the other, eBay merchants. But let's see what else there is out there. So I looked around, and the violins at Infinite Strings caught my eye. All right, this is a gorgeous violin. Okay, beautifully antiqued. I love the varnish on here. It's got a little more yellow than I've ever had in a violin. My other violin, my good violin, is very dark and varnished. The back is beautifully flamed. Okay, it's very well made. This is a Guarneri del Gesù pattern. This is also a Cannone copy, the Il Cannone. And it's a gorgeous violin. And I saw their violins. I saw their master violin.
Get on with it. Yes, get on with it.
So this is the master level or master build Guarneri del Gesù Il Cannone from Infinite Strings. You like that, huh, Wrigley? So it sounds very good. So yeah, it has a nice sound to it. You know, I mean, it's clear. The upper register is absolutely gorgeous. Upper register is very beautiful. Lower register maybe needs to open up a little bit. But I really do like the sound of it. It's easy to play. I might get a little adjustment either of the bridge or something, because I think the strings to me are a little high up here. But all in all, it's a really solid violin. Clear, easy to play, makes plenty of sound. Okay, the other Chinese violin that I got did not make a whole lot of sound, so this one does make plenty of sound. I've got no problem using this as my everyday violin. You know, maybe not for an audition, you know, or something like that, or recital, but you know, for everyday orchestra play, gigging, whatever, I would totally use this violin. It's a beautiful violin. I'm really enjoying it so far. So, I mean, I've run out of things to play, I think. I knew if I played Bach, I'd get my dog into it. I hear you, buddy. So anyway, thank you. This is Infinite Strings. This is their master build, Guarneri del Gesù Il Cannone copy, 2019. They also offer bench copies, which are a little bit more affordable. Those hover around $1,000, usually less, you know, $899 ish, $799. Those are the bench copies. Those also sound very nice. You can hear sound samples online, which I love. And that helped me choose this instrument. They offer the Master Series, the bench copies. Those are the most popular. They have private stock. some really nice violins in private stock that sound very beautiful. Those range up into the 3,000 and 4,000s. And then they've got some other ones, some special, they call them special, where they've used a different kind of varnish to antique the violins differently. And some Italian copies. Those are maybe a little bit less than the bench copies, more entry level. But I would highly recommend for students the bench copy series from Infinite Strings. And for professionals wanting a second instrument, or students wanting a much better instrument, you can look at the Master Build series. We'll see. This is a brand new violin. Today is February 5th, I think. February 5, February 6, whatever. I think it's 5. So today is February 5. This violin is marked as 2019. So, I mean, it is just finished. I believe this is their first Master Build off the line that they've sent. So I'm real happy with it. I think you would do well to look at these. Again, when you purchase a violin, the most optimum, ideal situation is that you go to a shop and you try several, 10, 12 different violins in your price range and decide on one that you're going to want. In my situation, I have the violin that I did that with. I have my good violin, which I spent a lot of money on years and years ago. I've had it for 25 years. It has served me well. As a matter of fact, I just won an audition with it last month. So it's a great violin. So when it was time to buy another one that I could use for gigs and for outdoors and for weddings and things like that, it wasn't so important to me that I go to a violin shop and play dozens of violins. Okay, because generally you go to a violin shop, those violins are priced a little higher. Yes, you get better service. You're going to get a better setup with great strings and good one-on-one personal service. But I'll tell you what, Infinite Strings really helped me out. Lance is great. And these strings, holy cow, these strings are really nice. These are the Il Cannone strings by Larson, and they're really good. I was praying, actually, kind of like I did with the Eva Perazzis. I was praying that I wasn't going to like them too much, because these are very expensive strings. These strings run just under $100 a set for violin, which is a lot. Excuse me. But Eva Perazzis go at about $85 a set. And I tried those a few years ago and started loving those. But these are the Larson, these are the Il Cannone, and I love them so far. They sound wonderful. They're responsive. They're a little warmer than the Evas. They produce a really, really nice sound. The E string side of this instrument is particularly mature. I love it. The G string side of this instrument maybe needs to open up a little bit more. It's still good and clear, though. Anyways, I'm playing gibberish now, so thank you so much for watching. Again, Infinite Strings, this is the Master Build series. Have a look, ifstrings.com. Look for more tomfoolery soon. This is Chuck G. Take it easy, guys.